Hello, and welcome to Dice Try, the RPG and storytelling podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Schaub.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Dice Try. I am your host and GM, Daniel Schaub. I am here with all my players, Krista Llewellyn, Paul Dixon, and Earl Kim. And riding along beside us is our audio engineer, GTM, which of course stands for Grapes Touching Meniscus.
Am I a ska band?
Grapes Touch, that would be a great name for a ska band. Grapes Touching Meniscus. I was a big fan of Real Big Fish back in the day. Anyway.
So shout out to my friend Dante. I think he was like Real Big Fish's like merch manager or like tour manager or something. Anyways, love you.
So on today's episode, we're not gonna be asking questions because I'm gonna be asking you guys a lot of questions in the end. Because today we are creating the new characters that you are going to play in our upcoming campaign, which I'm calling the Black Patch, which is set in the Black Patch Tobacco Wars of Kentucky between 1905 and 1909. And Krista is actually holding up the character sheet. Well, I did a terrible Google drawing that I then shared with Krista, and she was like, "Yeah, I can fix that."
Well, I mean, I just made it fancy.
Wait, can I have one?
Those of you at home who are watching the YouTube video of the version of this will be able to see it when I share my screen later. Also, for those who are just listening to the podcast, I'll try to remember to post it to my Instagram on the day that this episode comes out. We'll see if that actually happens. So somebody will remind me.
We can put it on the actual Instagram too.
Yeah.
Before we get into the actual character creation, one of the main things about this kind of, I'm not going to say system, but method that I've devised is that you come into character creation with a concept in mind based around the campaign setting that you're going to be in. So give us just kind of the Tinder profile shortened version of your character concept. And we'll start with Krista, because she looks like she was chomping at the bit there a second ago.
I'm like still fleshing it out, and I don't know her name yet because I haven't found a cool name. I was thinking of having my character maybe be a lot older than perhaps the rest of the people in the group. Like maybe she's been around for a while and came to America. I was thinking of her maybe being Irish and came to America during sort of the first wave of Irish immigration coming to North Carolina. And she sort of integrated herself into the Appalachian Mountains and became sort of a hillfolk hoodoo witch and traveled as like a card reader, uses sort of like herbs and magic and things to help out the communities around her. Yeah, but she's putting that all as a front because she has real magic.
Perfect.
That sometimes uses to help people.
All right. Paul, give us the Bumble profile of your character concept.
Mid-40s, divorced with no kids. I was thinking, we took notes last time. I remember us talking about my character being like a detective type. Was that correct?
Yeah, like a Kentucky sheriff or lawman.
I think a disgruntled sheriff with a heart of gold.
All right. And we'll move on to Earl. Earl, give us the grinder profile of your...
Jesus Christ.
Just the short version.
So my character's name is Charles Allen Park. We can get into that later and get more in depth about the name and sort of why and how. He is an operative for the Keller House, and he is essentially, the closest thing to say is like he's a spirit medium and shaman in sort of traditional Korean mystic arts, I guess.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start sharing my screen now. If you guys can't see it on your screens at home, I also shared the files that I'm about to present now. All
I got
right.
like windows inside windows inside windows inside windows, windows, windows inside windows inside windows inside windows, windows
Okay.
inside windows, windows inside windows. Sorry, I got a little signal.
When you look at this character sheet that I sent you, it's going to look similar to a lot of other character sheets that you have seen in the past, and yet there will be some key differences. So we're going to start with something called qualities. And qualities are broad terms that make up your character. Typically, in other RPGs, that would be words like strength, dexterity, constitution, those kinds of things. But you can see that these 6 spaces here are blank. And that's because I want you guys to come up with these 6 quality words that describe you. And to kind of help you as a guide, not only did I come up with some examples, but in terms of creating the character, you want to think of the qualities as words that describe your physicality, personality, sociability, and mentality. This is going to start with the broad strokes, and then as we move down into each section, it will hone what the character is more. So I wrote down some sample qualities here, such as grit, toughness, guile, grace, fierceness, enigmatic, intimidating, fearsome, tactful, witty, aware, wily, intellectual, experienced, powerful, strong, freakish. And you can start to notice that these words describe the character more than just how they talk to people, but intimidating could also refer to their physical presence, like they are a big, tough, strong guy, but they also intimidate people when they talk to them. The word enigmatic can describe both your personality and your sociability with other people.
Do we want that? Is that good? Do we want multi-fur words?
Yeah, the more words that it covers, actually, probably the better it is.
So we want words that like as many qualities as possible.
That will be your first little task, is to come up with the 6 words that are
Qualities.
Yeah, fit the quality that you're thinking of. If you have any questions for me, I am free to answer them.
Personality, sociability,
mentality, and physicality.
And if we wanted to add one that's not on that list of examples, we could do that.
Yeah, that is totally fine. When you guys are done, or as you come up with them, I just ask that you'd say them to me so I can make sure that it kind of fits. Because during the test run that we went through, one of the people wanted to make one of his qualities psionic, which doesn't actually describe who the person is. Like psionic would be more of a skill or a special move, which we'll get to later.
So resourceful would be a good one, right?
Yes. Okay. So GTM, how have you been?
Okay.
Just okay?
Streaming a lot. We're trying to.
Oh, really? What's your handle so people can go check you out?
You can find me at Japarican1. I am currently touring Ghost of Tsushima through photo mode, so I'm going around taking photos. It's a fun little stream. I try to tie it in to when Earl is streaming, before or after, because he has his own stream with Daisuke, who plays the lead Jin in the game, and both of them have some really awesome, funny streams. We'll talk about it later. I don't want to distract everyone as they come up with very complicated words.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide whether or not experienced or practiced would be a better one.
I like practiced more than I like experienced.
Yeah.
Because practice implies that you are very good at the particular set of things that you know how to do, and experience could be broad enough that it means, oh, I just have a wealth of experience, so I can do a lot of different things.
Yeah. Could I use empathetic?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I feel like if you're empathetic is more of you are affected by the moods of other people, like you are hit by it. Whereas empathic means I feel like you're able to pick up and listen on, like it's more of an active verb, I guess, in my brain. Like empathic means like you're someone who can use your empathy, as opposed to empathetic is like you're getting bombarded or you're getting hit by other people's emotion. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing?
I think I have mine, but
Why don't you go ahead and read out the 6 that you wrote down to me?
I said resourceful, charismatic, practiced. I wrote down aware, but I don't know if I want aware or maybe something like in tuned.
How do you envision that? Do you mean you're aware of like your physical surroundings or of like mystical powers out in the world?
I would say the mystical powers out in the world
Then
and
I
how
would,
they interact with my environment.
then I would probably use the word in tuned.
Okay. So in tuned, empathetic, and fiery.
I think fiery describes your physical appearance.
Cool. So those are mine.
And how are you doing, Paul?
I'm good to go. You want to hear them? Focused, grit, moral, pessimistic, sharp, and experienced.
I like all 6 of those.
I can tell the type of character you are immediately.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That disgruntled sheriff just kind of hit like
Yeah.
all the notes for what I thought about. Yeah.
It's already probably pretty clear that if you did come into character creation without even a basic concept in mind, this process would be kind of impossible.
Yeah, it would be really hard. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So go ahead and read out your 6 to me.
My 6 are piercing, open, enduring, insightful, curious, surprising.
I like all 6 of those.
Yeah.
It's a little bit
All
more.
right. So
Like enduring. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
now that you've named off all 6, we're going to start attaching values to those qualities. Unlike other RPGs where it's you roll a d20 and you add the value next to it, this is going to be the value is the number of dice that you roll. In later episodes, we'll talk about, completing tasks and stuff like that. But each quality that you have named is going to start with a value of 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to roll 2d6. You can divide the result among your qualities as you wish.
So I rolled 2 6s. Like, shit you not.
That is totally fine.
I rolled a 5 and a 5.
We're coming stacked, Dan. I hope you're ready.
That is all right, because actually, the higher the number is, it doesn't necessarily automatically mean success. Paul, were you able to roll some dice on a dice roller app or whatever?
It was. I got 2 6s.
Hey, there you go.
They all start with 1, and then you split up that 12 or 10 and divide them among the qualities as you choose.
It's so hard, though.
What happens if you roll 2 2s? Or 2 1s?
Well, that's an excellent question, Gabriel. And it's you don't need to worry about that necessarily, because there are later opportunities within character creation to increase the value of your qualities. Thank you for asking.
That's what I'm here for.
This has been my TED Talk.
In the scale of 1 to like, what is this? Like 1 to 10 for people? Like, what is this? Like what does a 2, what's the difference between a 2 and a 1 in any of these qualities?
It just means that you are stronger at that particular thing, but it's not as clear cut as that you might get in D&D where, a +5 is really strong. It's like, yes, I will roll 5 dice, but I only have a 50% chance of getting the success that I seek.
Okay.
You will need a number of successes to complete a task,
Mm-hmm.
and when you go to do a task, the dice that you roll is the quality plus your skill. So if you have 5
Got
on
it.
quality and 2 on the skill, you roll 7 dice, and you have a 50% of getting one success with each die that you roll.
How often do we update these quality modifiers, these numbers? Like, is it a leveling basis?
There are no levels. There is experience that you will gain at a certain point. The way to level it up, you level up quality slower than you level up skills.
Okay. It's kind of like Elder Scrolls-y in a way, where like if you are doing like athletics, then if you jump a lot, you accumulate the thing. You have to use the thing. Is that like it's sort of a
no. I'll explain it at the end.
Okay.
Because
I guess I'm just worried about, are the numbers that I distribute now pretty much they're going to be it?
You will get an experience point pretty frequently, but it's always one. So, like, you defeat a monster, you get one experience point. You complete a trap or complete an investigation, you get one skill point each. And then to level up a quality, it is the number you have times the number that you want to change it to. So if you have a 5 and you want to move up to a 6, you need 30 experience points.
Ah, okay. Cool. Thank you. That's what I was... You the best.
Yeah, but you level up each thing individually, so you have to kind of take stock of what's most important to level up at a time, because once you use the experience points, you lose them.
So it's almost like there could be a quality you really like, but the farther you go, the longer it'll take to level it up.
Exactly. That should be the goal.
I'm done.
I am also done. So it's a total of 18 right now. Are all of our qualities should add up to 18, correct?
For you and Paul, for Krista, it should be 16. You and Paul both rolled 12s, and then she rolled a 10. So that finishes off the qualities. We will move on to skills. And skills are the described process of how you actually complete and perform a task. And you get to name the skills that you use. For instance, since Paul wants to be kind of like a sheriff, maybe tracking would be an important skill to him so he can track down people. The skill should be specific, but not too specific as to undermine their usefulness. For instance, during our little test run that we did, somebody was like, I don't know, photography. And I was like, well, how useful will that actually be in the story of this game? And then you're going to name off 6 skills. I would recommend, if you think you're going to be doing fighting, you should name a skill after a fighting style, such as edge weapons, martial arts, or firearms. And if you're a mystic of some kind, you should use one skill slot to kind of describe, shamanism or alchemy or something like that. During the test portion that we did of this, I actually tried it with 8 originally and discovered that 8 was too many.
So how many skills?
6.
6.
Well, and eventually you will get opportunities just within character creation to create new skills.
So, question.
Yeah.
Would medicine and potion making be the same thing, you think? I guess not, because would potion making be a part of medicine?
I would call it alternative medicine or something to that effect, implying that you're not necessarily doing like classical dressing of wounds and applying iodine and stuff like that.
Okay.
But because potions could also mean like negative, not just for healing either.
Yeah, so you could also go with like alchemy.
Okay, alchemy
like a blanket for everything.
If you want to focus on particular potions.
Or should I not have explosives in there, because technically I would be making them with my alchemy?
Explosives I put in there as more like traditional like dynamite and stuff like that.
I do really like the idea of me making potions that explode, though.
Yeah, I think that fits under alchemy more than it does explosives. So.
Cool.
Character is also kind of like, you want it to be someone who hides, right? Like kind of plays 2 worlds. They have a
Deception?
mask kind of.
maybe.
Deception or performance or something.
Maybe performance.
Yeah, she's putting on an act, right?
Yeah.
It's not just bold-faced lying. It's really like putting on an act.
Yeah.
What skills do you have there, Krista?
I have alchemy, divination, performance, nature, lore, and ritualism.
Earl, how you doing?
I'm wondering how broad or specific you want this or want me to be with the skills right now. So the two things that I have specifically are the two weapons that my character has that are also like traditional Korean shamanic divining tools are a fan and a knife.
Okay.
The knife is kind of like it's like around the same size as a Bowie knife.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to split those up into two different skills. You could
Okay.
choose a word like archaic weapons, meaning that you know how to fight with swords and like
Mhm.
weapons that are not normally used, or if you want to be a little more specific, like shamanistic weapons or
I reckon the fan is probably more like a weapon, whereas I feel like the knife, a lot of it is tied to either severing ties that people like energetic ties that people have to certain like either demons or deities. It's both like a practical, like you have a knife on you so you don't get jacked, but like it has like a bit of zazz to it. So would that be I would imagine that would be a sort of separate.
I would say that you use the one skill to describe your fighting style, meaning archaic weapons, and then use the another skill to describe like shamanism or medium channeling or whatever word you want to use for it. And then just within the context of the game, we can understand that I'm using my knife at this moment to defend myself, or I'm using my knife at this moment to break ties with the spirits, or
Great. And whatever it just sort of fits into. Okay.
Yeah. How you doing, Paul?
Okay, I got tracking,
Mhm.
firearms, history, repair, tactics, and investigation.
Perfect. Are you planning on doing an Irish accent, Krista?
Oh God, no.
I can coach you if you like.
No. I'm not gonna do
Right.
that.
Repeat after me. Tight, teach, tight, toach. Baby, bye, boo.
I was listening to something the other day, some podcast or something, and one of the hosts was Welsh.
Oh, the Welsh accent is quite lovely.
Always sounds like they're going up at the end, like it's a sentence.
Okay, it's a sentence.
Most often, yes.
At the end of the sentence, like it's a question.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's not a very good Welsh accent, but
Oh, it's all right. You just need to do it more often.
You sound like Mrs. Doubtfire. The first wave of Irish immigration was like 1820. So she's like been in North Carolina for a while.
okay. So she's kind of lost her accent.
Yeah, I would say it's an amalgamation. Can I physically accomplish that? Probably not. Will I try my best to not sound like a valley girl? I will do what I can.
So Dan, I've made a category called kud, or dances. Is sort of a broad translation of this ability, but it's basically like spirit possession.
Okay.
In the spirit possession, like there are sort of different ways of sort of how it manifests and what it provides. I feel like, I don't know, I can make more skills. Like if you want me to, like I'll take all the skills, but it feels like a really big, like just sort of spirit position in general just feels like a sort of, it covers so much of what is possible, or sort of what I imagine.
Are you saying that you'd prefer that it was specifically dances, like that's how your character communes with the spirits and the gods?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's sort of the word for it. Like, he doesn't have to like do a physical dance. It's just sort of the like blanket phrase of what it means, like what he's doing. He's being possessed.
I am okay with that. Yeah.
So the ways that it sort of manifests is that like it either throws you into the spirit realm where there's a literal god who essentially imparts like premonition or prophecy to you. There's also a thing where sort of you're able to look through the eyes of the god that like and sort of things happening. So it's this idea of like being able to scry information from objects and from places and from basically based on off of imprints. I tap in to the other world, and whatever god that I particularly need is sort of the particular dance that happens in order to get sort of either trying to see what happened in the situation or to feel what happened energetically, XYZ, whatever. But it's sort of, that's the main crux. And then sort of, I guess the next level of it would be in emergency situations. This would be like a super move or something where a literal physical, like ancestral deity would inhabit my body.
That last thing that you mentioned is actually something we'll get to in the next section.
Okay.
Something called special moves, which is about channeling like spirits and luck in order to get an edge in emergency situations. But I'm totally fine with all of that. During the context of the game, I will ask you what your intentions are, how you're going to go about solving a problem, and we will discuss what skill is most appropriate. And you can kind of explain to me like what would fit most for you in terms of both skills and qualities.
Great.
Those of you at home who might be wondering, a lot of this character creation stuff seems really vague. It is sort of on purpose. The idea is that as we move through different stories here in the future, we can use this method of character creation and playing the game in different campaign settings. It doesn't just have to be, a Southern Gothic horror story with a mystery. We could do a future kaiju story with stuff like that with the same playing method because it is so variable to the players in the camping setting. If I'm going to put in all this work, I want to be able to use it on a whole bunch of different stuff. Some of the stuff I took from other sources, such as Seventh Seas, which is a pirate role-playing game, which has some very problematic views on race. Maybe I shouldn't say that part. That seems really shitty.
Call them out when they need to be called out.
I also used this part will become clear later on, but I used part of a system that was designed for a game called Beat to Quarters, or Honor and Glory, I think, which is, a role-playing game set in the Napoleonic Wars. So you could either be like a soldier fighting in the Napoleonic Wars or a sailor on a master and commander type ship. I like that game, or some parts of the character design stuff in that. So I borrowed some elements from that and cut out some of their things about race, which are also problematic. If you come from the wrong country, you're not able to read, which is kind of fucked up.
Oh, interesting.
You have to spend like skills in order to be able to read. Did Paul just get himself a glass of wine?
It is grape juice.
Oh, a grappa.
Fermented grape juice?
Nope.
Just regular Welch's. Just regular Welch's, he says.
Welch's. I got it from the store.
Is it that Concord grape? Is it that one? Oh, it's so good.
No, it is.
I mean, you never know. You could be one of those ones who does that white grape nonsense.
Oh my goodness, no. I wouldn't be caught dead with that.
What is happening?
We're all going crazy in pandemic land.
All right. I think I have them all.
Okay, what you got?
So I have the archaic weapons for mobile bonds. And then I have unarmed weapons for another because we're a fucking tank.
Okay.
I have my dances, and then I have medicine. Seeing as though Horace Allen Newton was a doctor, and he's the nice white man that brought young Charles over to America, and also took him in after he was unable to cure his ailing parents, and then was orphaned. So medicine is just an understanding of like Western medicine, as far as like being a surgeon and like understand like sewing up battle injuries and shit like that. So it's a bird that that I believe I'd be able to communicate, because there is a
Maybe change that to like animal handling or animal care, just so it's a little less uber specific to one animal. Like maybe you can care for all animals, and I will allow you to have a crow or magpie that you can speak to.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that works.
I love that idea, but I am also afraid that like there just may be possibilities where that skill might not come up if it's too specific. So that's why I just suggest to open it up a little bit.
It's a magpie.
So like animal communication or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. You only speak to Tweety and Sylvester. Now that you guys have your 6 skills determined, you're going to roll 4 d6s to determine the number of skill points that you can split up between your 6 skills.
And is it the same way with the qualities? Do they all start at 1 and then we add, or no?
No, they're going to start at 0.
They all start at 0.
And you don't necessarily need to worry about rolling low on those dice, because once again, there is a part coming up later where you can increase the value of your skills or create a new skill if you want it. So you guys can go ahead and split those up as you choose amongst the associated skills. All right. So before we move on to the next section, which is special traits and moves, I'm just going to explain something really quick. Let me jump over to the character sheet. In the top right box, you'll notice on the bottom line in the middle, there's a section marked channeling. Channeling is something similar to luck or divine intervention. It's a resource that you use in order to change your fate or activate super moves as special moves. And the way you earn those channeling points or luck points, whatever you want to call them, is by completing tasks that please your god, or spending time to pray with them, spending time to commune with nature. And then once you use the points to activate your special moves or traits, they will be used up. You can also use them to like re-roll dice. And that's an option that everyone has, the re-rolling of dice, which we'll explain more when we actually start playing. But when we move on to signature moves, what you are coming up with is the special moves that are significant to your character. For instance, Earl was talking about being possessed by a deity in order to assist him in an emergency situation. So you could come up with a title/name for it, such as deity possession or spirit possession or something like that. And then you're going to come up with the effect of it, which is, let's say, if you activate that, you are immune to all physical damage for the next 2 rounds, let's say.
Sweet.
And then you would come up with a cost, and the cost for a minor effect, such as, just avoiding an enemy attack or something like that, would usually be a 1. The cost for something major like that, like being possessed by a deity, I would say is 2.
Okay.
And let me jump back to this other sheet, and I have some example traits/moves, and I'll just read them out to you. So one example is like gain an edge, which is you spend 1 channeling point to add a die to your die pool. An immediate edge is to spend 2 channeling to add 2 successes to the results of your roll. Shrug it off is to spend 1 channeling point to ignore an enemy attack once per turn. Damage redirection is spending 1 channeling to direct damage to a different health box. To explain a little bit more about that, you notice at the bottom there are 3 different boxes of 3 qualities of a healthy hero: body, ego, and persona. So normally in combat, you're being affected on your body, and there are negative effects for taking damage until you are knocked out. And then in the next box is ego. That refers to your mind being broken by either being scared or being proven wrong, and you take damage in that direction to have negative effects on completing tasks that call upon your mental knowledge. And last is persona, which is other people try to interrupt your social interactions and damage your social standing, making it more difficult for you to complete tasks where you need to speak with people. To go back, the damage redirection, if you're taking a physical attack, you could spend that one channeling to swap it over to your ego, kind of in character, saying the swing from an attack came close, but it did not hit. It just shook you. One that I think, Earl, you might want to think about is something called self-repair, which is you spend 2 channeling to repair 1 level of physical damage. Basically, you move yourself back up.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
And another one that you might think about is double strike, which is to spend 1 channel to attack the same enemy twice in 1 turn.
How many slots do we have?
You have 3. You get to decide 3 of these special moves and traits.
Okay. Is double strike also a 2 point?
That's just 1
Okay.
for double strike. And as you're coming up with things, I will also say that in terms of magic and stuff like that, most things you can accomplish through magic or preparation as long as you have the time, such as creating potions and whatnot. But if you want an immediate effect from something, that's when you would need to create a special move or trait.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know what necessarily I'd like. Because I'm assuming that I'm going to be like a healer. So if there is something that's sort of like healing word, or we can describe it as something different than that. But
yeah. So I would call that saving grace or something like that.
Okay.
Basically, on your turn, you can spend a channeling point to heal one of your allies by 1 level, as long as you can touch them. I think that will be the caveat that I put on it, is it will only cost you 1 channeling point, but you have to move up in order to touch them.
Okay.
Who's a phoenix down?
And then I was also thinking of something like invoking ancestors, sort of like a spirit channeling thing. But I'm not sure if I want it to be a protection for myself or like an extra boost sort of thing, where I channel my, like, invoke my ancestors and they help to provide more power to something. But then I would need
Okay.
that I do.
So I would say a couple options there. The first option might be, channel the spirits, and the effect is that you summon ghostly spirits, and your enemies have to attack those ghostly spirits for a turn rather than you. Or if you want, you can spend 2 channeling points, and the ghosts will make an attack roll against an enemy of your choice, and the attack will be based on your kind of ritualism skill or something like that.
Okay.
Basically, I'm going to have one of my special moves be full possession. Can I have degrees of the full possession? So like spending 1 point and being in full possession would be different than like spending a couple of like 2 points and doing a spirit possession. Like, is there a way to have, or are those separate?
I think we will be able to refine them the further along we get as we play and you level up. I think from the beginning it's sort of amorphous.
Okay.
Like, you haven't learned how to fully control it yet. So I would say for now it's just like you are immune to physical damage for 2 turns after spending 2 channeling points.
Yeah.
But in the future it could be I spend 1 channeling point so I'm immune to attacks for 2 turns. And then if I spend additional channeling points as I'm fully possessed, it does like extra damage or allows me to attack extra times or something.
Cool. I
want the special moves as you refine them and upgrade them or add new ones to come from character moments as we play.
Right. So I think mine are going to be self-repair, double strike, and full possession.
Perfect. How you doing there, Paul?
Got my specialty traits.
Okay. Which 3 did you go with?
Oh, was it 3? I thought you said 4. My bad. Well,
I was trying to finagle a 4th. That was that one just now.
You might get a chance here in the next section to add a 4th one. So hold on to that.
Keep it. So I picked power through, tag team, and self-repair.
Perfect. I like tag team, which is you just use your channeling to increase a teammate's luck.
Well, I was trying to think of something like tag team, but on a more like, I guess I could just call it tag team, but essentially just giving someone an extra point or an extra roll or whatever, right?
Yeah, but you're thinking about granting it in a more of a mystical sense.
Yes.
Helping hands in quotation marks or something like that.
What's your magic, Krista? What's your
like where it's based?
Yeah, it's like what do you?
So I'm thinking, like, I feel like a lot of my magic is going to come from ritualistic stuff and potions, making like explosive potions, and maybe like.
Or Krista, how about this? Let's say you have a special trait called in a pinch or something like that, which is you spend 2 channeling points and you can immediately brew a potion that you need at that moment.
Okay.
So you could have one that heals or an explosive one or something like that.
I like that.
I will say that this stuff is sort of variable. I might need to change the cost versus effect ratio at different points. So don't blame yourselves if I'm like, you know what, this is too powerful. We're gonna have to make this cost a little bit more, or you know what, this isn't working. We might need to change the cost something lower.
Cool. So the three I have are saving grace, spend 1 to heal 1 level touch in a pinch, and then invoking the ancestors. And I like the enemies attacking the spirits.
All right.
Cool.
So now that you guys have those, we're going to move on to a section called life experiences. So life experiences represent the prior events that have occurred in your character's life. And you're going to roll on a table here 6 times, and each time you get a result, you will get a different effect representing the results of that prior experience you had in your life. Pull out your D12s, folks, and I will I will effectively read out the 12 different effects that you could get, and I'll explain the ones that seem a little funky or weird. If you roll a 1, you add 1 to an existing skill. If you roll a 2, you add +1 to a quality. 3 is you create a rivalry or enforce an existing rivalry. What a rivalry is, that it means that you have a nemesis that is either a person or an organization you have come up against in the past, and when you are performing an action which is actively impeding that person or organization, you will get a bonus to your dice pool equal to the number associated with that rivalry. So let's say, your dice pool is an 8, but you're going up against a person who you're a rival with and you have +1. Now you get to roll 9 dice. 4 is create an alliance or enforce an existing alliance. That is basically the opposite of rival. You have a person or organization that you have an uneasy alliance with, and when you perform a task that is in their favor, you get a bonus to the roll based on the number associated with it. I should also say that when I say enforce an existing rivalry or an alliance, that means just increase the value by 1 in case you roll it same number twice. Create
a difference between E enforces and I enforces, or is that just a spelling thing?
No, that was just me typing at like 3 a.m.
Got it.
Next, number 5 is create a personal connection or enforce an existing personal connection. A personal connection is like an alliance, but the connection that you have with that person, and it's specifically a person, is much stronger. It's a friendship. That means that you can potentially have social situations where dropping that person's name would be in your favor, or that person that you're meeting is a friend of your friend. That means that you can add a bonus to your roll equal to the value associated with that. Number 6 is create a new special trait. Number 7 is create a trinket or enforce a trinket. A trinket is like a family heirloom. It's a specific item that you carry with you, such as a compass, that when a time comes that you use a skill that uses like a compass, or the camera that your dad passed down to you, you get a bonus to your roll based on that value. Number 8 is create a weapon or enforce a weapon. This would be like, a gun that your father passed down to you, or that you learned to first shoot with, or the sword that you use during your shaman rituals. So when you attack with that weapon, you get a bonus to your roll based on the value of the weapon. Number 9 is create a mystical totem or enforce a totem. That's pretty self-explanatory. It would be an item that you carry with you that allows you to help channel spirits or commune with the dead or something like that. A pouch full of, the ashes of, your cremated elders or something like that. When you're performing a ritual or something, or using a spell and using your mystical totem to focus that spell, you get to add a value. Number 10 is increase your current channeling by +2. So every character starts with a 0 in channeling. When you roll this one, your value goes up by 2, so you start the game with 2 extra ones. That one might change a little bit to be that you have 2 automatically at the start of each game session. We'll see how quickly channeling disappears, that I might change that. Number 11 is you create a new skill, and it automatically starts with a value of 1. And then number 12 is choose one from the above and roll again. Just for Paul, I know that you are not necessarily that interested in being a mystical character of any kind, like performing magic. So if you were to roll the mystical totem one, I would allow you to roll it again to get a different option.
Funny, because I actually did.
You're going to roll a d12 6 times. So you're going to have 6 different results by the time you finish this, or 6 or more.
2, 8, 9, 8, 10, and 12 were my rolls. And then for the 12, I picked an extra 10, and then I rolled 9.
So yeah, you can either have 2 separate weapons, or a weapon that's a +2, or 2 separate mystical totems, or 1 totem that's a +2. Since you rolled both of those twice,
Can I have a weapon that is also a mystical totem?
I would say that it can be both, but you wouldn't. The values wouldn't stack based on how you're using it. So if you're using it specifically in a magical setting, we're going to use the value from the mystical totem roll, and if you're using it as a weapon, we'll use the value you got from the weapon.
Okay, then I'll just have the weapon be separate, and then I'll have bells, like a little string of bells as my mystical totem.
I have to admit that this is a deficiency of the design that I sent to you, Krista, when you finished it. I did not put a section for trinkets, weapons, or totems. Mm-hmm. So you can just write it on the back of the character sheet for now. I don't know if we're going to design a back yet, because in future games, I want to include that mechanic where you flip it over and there's something different on the back, like you play as the kaiju on the back, or a werewolf or whatever. But since this is the first time we're playing this, we're just going to stick with the one side, the one character for now.
So I can add +1 to a quality.
Yeah, so Dan, I rolled 3 different 6s. Should I re-roll some of those since I add 3 new special traits?
Special traits.
Yeah, I would go ahead and re-roll 2 of those.
Okay. 2 and 4. So I got 8, 2, 3, 4, 6, 4.
And with the rivalries, alliances, personal connections, and stuff like that, you can name the person or organization. And then I will have you guys type up character histories for me, and you kind of explain how you met this person or ran into them, how they became your ally or rival or whatever. And that way I can find ways to insert them into the game in a organic way. And that way we can also keep stuff a little bit secret from the audience.
Created a weapon. Okay. I feel like I would have some sort of ceremonial dagger on me to begin with.
Yeah.
As a weapon, maybe.
Ain't no one taking her down in a knife fight.
I need to make another skill, and I don't necessarily know what to do for that. If I wanted to have sort of like a familiar, not someone that I can necessarily speak to, but that protects me, would that be a special skill? Or
I would say that would be like animal handling. I don't think you have a skill that kind of describes your fighting style, which might become a bit of an issue if you ever do get into a scrape where you actually have to fight.
I don't know what my fighting style would be. I feel like I would just try to stab people. I don't know.
Just like edged weapons or street fighting, you know? Just try to get in and out as quickly as possible.
Or I don't know, maybe like make some sort of magical attack.
That's a special move.
Yeah. Okay, so what kind of magic attack do I want? Could I have like a vine sort of thing if I could?
You want nature? Yeah, do you want it to?
Because I have nature. I have nature as one of my skills.
Is that a special trait that you're creating?
Yeah. Because I do have one special trait I can make.
Call it like a call to nature. Do you want it to attack or just impede the person?
I'd say attack.
Okay, so spend a channeling point and the nearest plant life to the enemy will make an attack roll against the enemy, and it'll be based on your mystical skill.
I just have to come up with 1 rival and 2 alliances.
I've got the 6 numbers. Is that what you're asking for?
Go ahead and read me out the first one.
1.
Okay, so 1 is you add +1 to an existing skill.
Okay. I got 5.
5 is you create a personal connection. And the character sheet, you'll see a section marked personal connections.
Okay, dude. 7.
7 is you create a trinket, which there's not a spot on the character sheet. You can just put it on the back of the page or wherever you want to find space. That's a non-magical item.
Your
for you. It could be like a compass.
Your sexy sunglasses.
A badge.
Your favorite mug.
3.
3 is you create a rivalry just to give you some insight into the time period. If you want it to be an organization, you could have it be such as the American Tobacco Company, which is the large business monopoly that kind of created the conditions that led to the Black Patch Tobacco Wars, or you could be against the Night Riders, which is the vigilante group of Kentucky plantation owners that were vandalizing and attacking people all around Kentucky during that time period.
You hate the mob.
What about the KKK?
I mean, yeah, that's fine by me. The Night Riders and the KKK, they were pretty similar, so.
Is your rival white supremacy?
My rival is racism.
Racism.
Good for you. I would put the KKK.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to be a little more specific.
Okay. I got 5 twice.
So you can either create a new personal connection or you can increase the value of your current personal connection +2.
It can be a very personal connection.
Maybe you have a deputy.
Ooh, deputy. I like that.
But I did not shoot the deputy.
I mean, your rival could also be your ex-wife.
Your rival could also be your deputy.
It's kind of like that.
What if your deputy was also your ex-wife?
You're also your ex-wife.
I like all of that.
It's
This is a really complicated 1900s gentleman.
It's your rival, your alliance, your personal connection are all the same person. And it's your ex-wife.
That's a mess. I mean, that's real as fuck, though. But like,
Yeah.
Yikes.
8.
8 is create a weapon. So like your rifle or 6-shooter or something like that. So yeah, you would have had like a Colt, Peacemaker, or a Navy Special or something like that. So as long as you guys are done, you also get 6 experience points, which on the character sheet is in the box right beside channeling. I'll explain leveling up. So experience points are the resource that allows you to level up qualities and skills and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Way to level up a quality is the value number you have times the value number you want to go to. So if you have a 5 and you want to go to 6, you need 30 experience points that you spend to level it up. Or if you have 2 and you want to go to 3, you need 6 experience points to move it up. For skills, it's the value you have plus the value you want to get to. So if you have a 5 and you want to go to a 6, you need 11 experience points to level up. Or if you want to go from 2 to 3, you need 5 experience points in order to level it up. In terms of the signature moves, like I said, those will be character moments that come up at different points, and we will determine in those moments how much it will cost you in order to level up or expand a skill or a special trait, I should say. So if you have a place that you want to spend those right now, you can. Okay. If you don't, you do not have to spend them. You can actually save them. Like I said, you also be getting experience points on a regular basis, 1 for defeating an enemy, 1 for solving the puzzle in the room, and 1 for, completing a task.
Wait, you said it's 6. It's 6 to go from 2 to 3
on a skill.
2 times 3,
or on a quality. Yeah.
Yep.
Great. And then when you want to level it up from 3 to 4, it'll be 12.
12. Got it.
And then the final touches are giving your character a name. In the next box down, you'll see something kind of mystic style / persona. That's just basically a description of like who you are when you perform. Since there are no character classes, you can kind of use it as a way to describe yourself in like a short sentence or 2, in case that ever comes up.
I've got Harold Colmer. I know it's like Gomer. Colmer.
Sheriff Colmer. I like that. What was the name of your character again, Earl?
Charles Allen Park.
And then Krista, have you decided on a name for your character?
No, I have to do some more research.
Congratulations, you have more or less finished character creation. Before we start our actual playing of the sessions, I would like you guys to kind of write up a character history and email it to me. Use those life experiences that we rolled as kind of a guide to help you fill in the blanks, like, why is this person my rival? How did I get this special gun that I carry around with me? Those kinds of things. The premise behind this method of character creation that we're using was to help you start with a core concept, and by the end of it, you should have a more clear idea of who that character is, not just in terms of role play, but of past experiences, because I'm sure in your head you were thinking, okay, how did I get this item, or why am I a rival with this person? And hopefully that grants you more ownership over the character, rather than just, filling in blank spaces, filling in the dots of a character sheet that has more filled in for you than it probably should. So how did that experience feel, you guys?
That was great.
Yeah.
I feel like I was glad I had what I had.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like my prep work was helpful and made it easier.
Yeah. Like I said, the feedback I kind of got was that it starts out a little bit painful, but then as you go along, you feel that you have more ownership after having done the work. So when I did the test run, one of the guys had just like the simplest idea that he was going to be like an investigative reporter for the New York Post, tracking down monsters. But by the time he finished it, he had like a whole backstory about how his dad had been studying the occult and they had kidnapped him in order to prevent his dad from learning anymore. The whole backstory just kind of came
That's
together.
awesome. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool that you've got the built-in, like the story, like the rivalry, the personal connection, like all that stuff.
So that came from the system for duty and honor or beat to quarters. They do that like 20 times or something like that.
Wow.
But they have more options to choose from, and you're like doing it with playing cards, so you have higher chances of not repeating.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And before we go, we should probably go around and do some plugs. Paul, do you have anything exciting going on or a social media presence that you want people to follow you on?
Yeah, follow me at Paul Allen Dixon on Instagram, and you can probably find me on Facebook. Right now, I'm just writing and trying to create content. Currently auditioning quite a lot, actually, and a bit of voiceover. So it's been pretty busy. So hopefully something will come out of that, and then I can promote it all over the place.
Earl.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Earl of Samich, SAMMICH. And also you can find me on Twitch at Earl of Samich with a T. Twitch and Twitter. Twittich.
Krista Llewellyn.
Hi.
What do you got going on?
I am still pretty active on Instagram. My makeup handle is Krista Llewellyn MUA. I am trying to switch over my live streams to maybe a Twitch platform or a YouTube platform because my phone isn't agreeing with me with live streams anymore. Follow that for updates. And then I also have a Etsy shop, which is Shop Rogue. You can find us at Instagram at Shop Rogue Etsy. And I'm making reusable masks, and I have a new product called the CC cover, which is a wipeable makeup chair cover. So if you are a makeup artist and need a eco-friendly sanitary solution for your seat, I got you.
Let me ask you this question, Krista.
Yes.
Would you be able to put those vinyl covers on just about any chair, or is it specifically designed for makeup chairs? Could I put it on my computer chair, for instance?
You probably couldn't put it on your computer chair because it's made for the dimensions of a makeup chair. But I know that there are some camping chairs that are similar dimensions and a similar shape to a makeup chairs. It's made for like a foldable, like camping chair or makeup chair.
GTM of House GTM.
Yes.
What do you got going on?
Currently, I am also Twitch streaming. You can find me at Japarican1, both on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch.
And you theme the show each time to we're gonna do an episode mostly about animals today.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna try and replicate some Kurosawa framing since the game is so Kurosawa inspired.
What about you, Dan?
Yeah, Dan.
Well, Krista Llewellyn, thank you for asking. You can follow me on Instagram at Hemingway Light and watch me slowly lose my mind. I don't have anything to announce. Just follow me at Hemingway Light on Instagram and Twitter. LITE, like it's a diet soda. Thank you all for listening, and we will talk to you again soon. Goodbye.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Dice Try. I'm your host, Daniel Schaub, and this episode's cast has included Paul Dixon, Earl Kim, and Krista Llewellyn. This production has been edited by Gabriel Toya Melendez with special music provided by Glenn Davis. Please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Dice Try Podcast, and while you're there, don't forget to subscribe and review.
I really want just one day where I can remove some false facial hair and
One day.
somebody's like,
I can make that happen.
It's true.
I have that power.
I have to grow out a glorious mustache and then shave it off, and then you replace it with a fake one.
But then you remove the skin to reveal another mustache underneath the skin.
Just layers of weirdness, mustache, skin, mustache.
I'm trying to think of how you could do that.
You need a ball cap for your upper lip.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
a ball cap.
Yeah, like a little blender with a piece over it with the lip, and then the like hair is like maybe smaller and it's glued down a bit more, but it's there. That'd be great. Oh, now I want to do that.
Or maybe you just pull off different parts of the mustache so it becomes like a handlebar mustache, like a regular cowboy mustache, like maybe a twirly Dalai Lama or Salvador Dali.
Give me a twirly Dalai Lama.
That sounds like a drink somewhere.
Or a sex move.
Actually, maybe the
Same
sex
thing.
move
Involves a drink.
involves a drink.
There you go.